This podcast is rated S for spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Don't forget to view our spoiler-free companion video on our Half Past Podcast channel on YouTube. Welcome to the Half Past Podcast. This is episode 23, the movie review of the Peanuts movie. We'll also be discussing the Kung Fu Panda 3 trailer. I'm Graham Ricks, and here with me is my friend and co-pilot Ian Jones.
Hey, buddy, how was your Halloween?
I had an okay Halloween. I stayed at home and played video games. That's what I did.
Dang. Well, I'm in the new place now, and so I had trick-or-treaters for the first time in forever.
Nice. Did you see any interesting costumes?
You know, there were a lot of ninja costumes this year.
Oh, man, Return of the 90s. What?
Yeah, right? and only one small family has Ninja Turtles, so I was really surprised at the low cross section.
Wow.
You know, I was blown away by the amount of ninjas I saw.
That's amazing.
I think that's still a really popular thing, and they're all cool looking costumes anymore these days.
Yeah, they do a better job back when we were kids.
But I have to tell you, when I was carving pumpkins, I had just the TV going, and Hocus Pocus was running on like a loop on AMC or ABC Family. So it was the television version, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it for a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
There were a couple of things that blew me away. One of them was really how messed up the story of that movie is.
Yeah. Because
they're killing little kids. And succeeding.
Yeah.
You usually don't see that.
Nope.
Like they're having marked success. Doing it. But one of the other things which blew me away too is, and I guess this is the TV version, but there's two separate scenes where teenagers hand the lead teenager and the girl he likes at school, they both hand each other phone numbers. Yeah. Someone went in and digitally altered the phone numbers on those pieces of paper.
What?
So they just said 555 dash, and that was it.
Oh, that's weird.
That's all that was written. So there must have been some weird thing where maybe there were real numbers on there, but they didn't even write seven digits, which is crazy because both those scenes look like they don't really want to give each other their numbers.
That's so weird.
That's like getting 6 digits from a girl at a bar, and you're like, at least then you can figure it out. But 555, and that's it, is even worse.
That's so weird. I wonder why they would do that, because
I don't know.
Usually, once you put 555, the number doesn't exist. That's so weird. Why would they do that?
I just don't know. There's also another scene too, which I forgot all about, where the little girl is yelling at everyone to not listen to Bette Midler sing, which I find hilarious. She's like, "No, cover your ears." I'm like, "Yes, yes, cover your ears."
Oh man, that's great. I'll have to watch that movie again. I liked it as a kid, so I haven't seen that movie in years.
Oh, it's way corny, but I recall it was the first time I had ever heard the word virgin.
Nice.
And so I just pretended to know what that was.
Oh, that's great.
Like, that's how long ago it was. Like, oh, I get it. I know what they're talking about. As I'm sitting in a movie theater with my eyes going in both directions.
Oh, that's great. Oh, man. Well, Kung Fu Panda 3, huh?
All right. Good segue.
Oh, did you watch this trailer? Did you get this one at the theater? Because I got it.
I did, yeah. And I think this is the second trailer, or maybe I saw a teaser.
Yeah,
for
I think you
earlier.
probably saw the teaser. I think this is the official trailer that they released. And you know what? It looks good. It looks really good. I like that they're continuing the story on, and I actually like that they're getting involved with the Panda Village also. And it's pretty cool to see that he's going from like master to teacher. And I am really curious about these pandas. So if he's going to be teaching all these pandas how to fight, does that mean that in this world pandas are just great at kung fu? Is that what's going on with this?
Well, his parents fought. His parents were warriors, right?
Yeah.
There's that scene where they, and you think they're gone. So, I just hope that with the second one, I was really just hoping that they did something much different.
Yeah.
And, I think they did. So
yeah, that's what I was expecting too. A lot of these movies, these animated movies, when they get into the second and third movies, they really dwindle in quality quite a bit. And it's kind of because they keep doing the same thing over and over again. And it's kind of like Madagascar, where they keep doing that same song with the dance like in every single movie. And I feel like that's not happening with Kung Fu Panda. And I like it because I really like the series. I've liked the first and second one. And I'm excited about the third one. And we'll be able to see that one in January. So it'll be good. You got anything else for this trailer?
No, I think it was just brief enough to maybe get my interest again.
All right.
I think of all the animated ones we saw, that's probably the one I want to see.
Oh yeah, did you see the Norm of the North? Ah.
Yeah, that's awful.
That looks terrible. I can't believe how bad that movie looks.
That's like an industry killer.
Yeah, that's a terrible movie, man. And I've seen
Even
that
the
trailer
voices.
pop up a lot in theaters. So I feel like it's going to make money. And that bothers me a little bit. Just a little bit.
Well, it didn't look like it took a whole lot to put it together.
No, it didn't. The only other movie that I am excited about, actually there's a couple ones that I'm excited about that's coming out next year. The Secret Life of Pets I'm kind of interested in. And Disney's got one coming out that's all animals. Also, I can't remember the name of it, but it looks interesting also because the teaser that I saw like months ago had like they were explaining that these animals all run everything and they all have normal jobs, but their natural instincts are still there. So the predators are still there. So like it had like I think it was a wolf and like a rabbit. And like this wolf was like, he had parked incorrectly. And so this rabbit cop comes up and gives him a ticket. And he's just kind of like, he's just like looking at it like the ticket, like kind of, okay, that's how it's going to be. And then as the rabbit tries to walk away, it just like trips the rabbit and then like goes away. kind of thing. And I'm excited about that movie too. I can't believe I can't remember the name of that movie, but I think that one will be a fun one also. Anyway,
I love it when
we've spent a lot of time on this.
Hang on a second. I love it when we can't remember the name of stuff. I don't remember the name of that guy.
We definitely weren't planning on talking about that movie.
All right. That's a fair point.
That's just how the conversation ended.
What's his name? The guy from Game of Thrones. That narrows it down.
All right, Jones, let's go ahead and get into the characters here. So let's go on our little break. After many failures, Charlie Brown tries to get a fresh start with the little red-haired girl that just moved in. This movie is directed by Steve Martino. He also did Horton Hears a Who and Ice Age Continental Drift, so I guess he's definitely a blue sky director.
Yeah, he's their guy, right? Yep. Or one of them.
Definitely one of them. And this movie starring a bunch of kids. A ton, like they're all kids. And a lot of them, this is their first movie, or they've done like little kids shows or something like that. So I'm just going to run through these real quick. And we have Noah Schnapp as Charlie Brown, Hadley Bell Miller as Lucy Van Pelt, Marielle Sheets as Sally Brown, Anastasia Bredekina as Patty, Noah Johnson as Schroeder, Rebecca Bloom as Marcy, and Marmar as Franklin Armstrong. But the most important one here is definitely Bill Melendez as Snoopy in Woodstock. Yeah. And Bill Melendez has been gone for a while now. He has always done Snoopy in Woodstock, and I thought it was really cool that they took his voice from archival recordings to get him in here, and I think that was just really cool. Yeah, and he's actually a really famous animator, director, and voice artist, and so he's worked for Disney for a long time, and I think he did Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Bambi, and I think Dumbo that he worked on, and I thought it was really cool that they got him in there.
One more name real quick. Trombone Shorty. Trombone Shorty in the Orleans Avenue. I saw them last year. It was their first time in Arizona, and they are awesome. Nice. He does, it's just real brief. He does the adults with his trombone, but the next time they come, I'm going to drag you to that concert.
All right, we'll do that. We'll do that.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
All right, so now that we're done with the characters, we just real brief going through those guys. Let's go ahead and get into our quirks and likes. So we're going to take a quick little break here, and then we'll come back. All right, Jones, back from our break here. Let's go ahead and get into my quirks. So the first thing I want to say is I have a love-hate relationship with the vignettes in this movie. There is one of the things that they did really well in this movie is that it is very Peanuts, and they stuff a lot of stuff that's iconic about the series and the comic in this movie. And I think it's almost too much, because it seems like they're just throwing him in there just because, as opposed to doing it more creatively. And as much as I love seeing those scenes in there, it is nice to
Are you referring to all those Red Baron sequences?
It's not just the Red Baron sequences. Other stuff it's not just those. It's actually, for instance, they have like the dance scene in there where they're all doing their classic dances from the Christmas Story, where they're kind of just doing it. It's not really a part of the story at all. And there's a lot of that in there where stuff is happening in the background. You know, the kite eating tree kind of thing. That was it's just, there's a lot of that in there, and I have a love-hate with it. I feel like there was too much of it, and I think some of it is distracting to me. But I do enjoy having it in there, but some of it is distracting. Really, I kind of liked the movie because, I mean, I'm going to admit my bias. I've been a fan of Peanuts since I was a kid, and the only other thing I have to say is I really think Peppermint Patty's voice, like, I remember Peppermint Patty having a much more masculine voice as a kid.
Oh, okay. And well, I'm going to jump all over that, my friend. So go ahead and finish what you guys say, and I'm going to just go ahead and come in with one of mine.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure Peppermint Patty was voiced by a guy for a lot of her incarnations in the movies and in the TV series. Now, they've definitely had women do her voice also, but it was never a really feminine voice, and it was extremely feminine in this movie. They definitely got like a little girl to do her voice, and I was like, the whole time I was like, this is just not right. Like, it was distracting every time she said something. I'm like, this is not Peppermint Patty, which is weird because I thought a lot of the other voices were like pretty damn close. Hers was way off, and I just wanted to mention that was like my last little thing.
Oh, is that
That's
it?
all
Though?
I got.
I don't want to. Yeah. Okay, I didn't want to jump all over your thing, but it really seemed to me like they were going through extra lengths to show that Peppermint Patty likes boys.
Yes,
because it's been not such a big secret over the years, and I don't have an issue with this at all, that Peppermint Patty is a gay character.
Yeah.
Not that you can't have a tomboy, girl who's like better at sports than all the boys.
Which is perfectly fine.
I don't have an issue with that. Yeah, that's fine too. But it just seemed to me like that was one of the things where I was like, I don't remember her hitting on Chuck this much.
She definitely would hit on Chuck, but it was not like as much as they had it in there.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. For some reason, that just was like, I was like, wait a minute. Isn't it generally understood that this isn't that kind of character? Like, we get it as adults.
Yeah, right. And it's, she definitely would hit on Chuck every once in a while, but it was always just kind of a subtle little thing where she would do that. But the point of her character is that she's a tomboy type character.
Okay.
And, that was the whole point of her. And I think she's a little less that in this movie, which was a little off-putting to me, but that's fine. So what other quirks you got?
I really, just you were talking about the little vignettes and everything. I thought there was way too much Red Baron, and Snoopy's my guy. And, I've ripped on the animated Christmas specials and stuff, but every time I do birthday cards, I always draw a Snoopy and Woodstock on them for people. And I really enjoyed the comic strips. But I think there's like 4 or 5 parts of Snoopy taking on the Red Baron.
Yeah.
Which, to me, was the real big problem. I just thought that was weird.
Yeah.
There wasn't really the payoff there.
I think for that, one of the things that I liked about the Red Baron scenes was it was kind of a parallel to Charlie Brown's story of him pursuing a love interest. And
yes,
which I thought like that was a creative way to do something like that. So I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it, but there is a lot of it in the movie. There's a
the
ton
issue
of
I had.
scenes.
Yeah, the issue I have with it was this. They released it in 3D as well. And it just seemed to me like they were trying to throw in stuff for the 3D side of it.
Yeah.
Like those scenes were the only thing you really needed to see in 3D, maybe. And that I always have a problem with. But that is a really good point. It does parallel what's going on with Charlie Brown.
Yeah.
Did they get an F on that book report or what?
They didn't go into it at all.
They don't mention it at all, and he seems pretty depressed about it too. Thanks for the F, Charlie Brown. Were we supposed to do a book report? Yeah, here it is. I got it all done. I did it on one of the most complicated books you could read as a kid.
Oh yeah,
an idiot.
And by the way, is it common for a teacher to not give a kid who's away an extra day?
Oh, I know.
What the heck?
Yeah.
By the way, you're going to be partnered up with the person who's not here, and you have to finish it over the weekend. It's like, what?
I mean, I must confess now that they can't do anything about it. I pretty much was turning in the same book report from junior high all the way through high school.
Oh, jeez.
And none of the teachers seemed to notice. I just had to keep, boom, print.
Nice.
Call the wild, sucker. Jack London, you can't touch me. I've already done it.
There was no way I could do that when I was a kid because they required us to read specific books. I never had an option growing up.
Well, there was one book that I couldn't get away from. And I think you had to read this too. Let's see. I had to read Siddhartha.
Yeah,
did you have to read Siddhartha?
I had to read Siddhartha.
I hated
too.
that book. And I had a buddy who told me that he was finishing it on spring break, and he and his dad were fishing, and he finished it, and he just flung it out the boat into sea or wherever. And when he said that, I could just picture him doing that, like it would spin on its side and go out really far like a disc. But I was like, dude, you're going to have to pay him $19 for Siddhartha. Why did you do that? And he just kind of like gave me this blank look. But he was just like I was riding on his parade because he had this subtle victory.
Nice. I definitely had to read Siddhartha. And then we watched Little Buddha, which, who the hell did the casting of that?
Ooh.
Why is Keanu Reeves in this movie? I don't know.
Well, why is he in Much Ado About Nothing as well?
It's so weird when he pops into stuff, man. It's crazy.
No, I love Keanu. It's a love-hate thing.
Yeah, I know, right? I can't wait for John Wick
like,
2.
God, John Wick and The Matrix. And then it's like, what the hell's he doing in these other things? Shut up and shoot people.
Oh, it's great. All right, Joes, you got any other quirks?
If just some real little ones. I was actually trying to come up with quirks. But if Snoopy can write a novel, why can't he attend school?
I know, right? It's always
no dogs allowed. Damn it. And shouldn't Woodstock have flown south for the winter?
Well, you'd think so.
All right, that's it. I mean, I was really thinking of stuff like, oh, that's the world's smallest Zamboni. I'm like, I can't really say that, though, right? I mean, that's just them being peanuts.
Pretty much.
All right, yeah, that's it for me.
All right. So let's start with my likes.
What's with the size of that Zamboni, Graham?
My first like, I really have to say it because I thought the animation is spot on. I thought their style of doing this is very faithful to Peanuts. And the problem with Peanuts, we said this when we were reviewing the trailer, is they've never had a budget ever at all.
Yeah.
And so the animation has always been really bad. And a prime example of that is in the Christmas special, where they say that all Charlie Brown's tree needs is a little love. And then somehow they managed to get a bunch of pine needles and stuff also, and to fill this crappy little Christmas tree up. And they all get in front of it and they wave their hands around, and then it's just done. And it's like that kind of stuff happens constantly in Peanuts. And this is probably the biggest budget they've ever had in anything. And I really like that they managed to do it without it looking too cheap, which I thought was just really creative, and I really love the style that they did in this movie. The other thing is I really enjoyed that they stayed really faithful to Peanuts. Not only the movies, but the comic strips. And just, I really like that I got to see my favorite character, who has a brief appearance, which is Joe Cool. I've always loved that's my favorite character for Snoopy. I had a bunch of Joe Cool stuff growing up, and you know I'm drinking out of my Joe Cool mug also.
That's accurate.
And I've always been a fan of that character for Snoopy, and I'm really glad that he showed up. I also really enjoy, even though you made a very good point about how there's a little too much in it, but I enjoy that they decided to do the parallels of the Red Baron with Charlie Brown's story with the little red-haired girl. The other thing I liked was I do enjoy that they had like the dances also to stick with the Christmas Story special or whatever, and they're all doing their iconic dances. Like I always liked the kid that had that weird like where he would like turn his head all the way to the left and then go 180 degrees, and he just had this bob to it. I used to dance like that when I was a little kid because it's so ridiculous.
I still dance like that now.
Oh, well, fine. Another couple little things that I liked about this movie is when the little red-haired girl moved in, I liked that it was like Melendez and Diaz brothers movers. I thought that was just a really cool thing to just show a little homage to Bill Melendez in the movie. The last thing is, the thing about Peanuts is it can be, because of Charlie Brown, it could be extremely depressing to watch. And you have a lot of problems because you really want to root for him, but he just keeps failing. And a lot of people can't stand that about Peanuts. But the idea of Charlie Brown is that he is the underdog and he never gives up. And I think that they continued that in this movie, and I really like that there's a little bit of a payoff at the end of the movie with the good old Charlie Brown ending to the movie. I thought that was really perfect and just spot on with both the comic strips and the movies, where they just he's the underdog that doesn't give up, and he actually gets a payoff at the end, which is something that happens in a lot of the other movies. And I really, really enjoyed that. So, what are your likes, man?
I agreed with you. I thought that it definitely felt very Peanutsy, if that's even a thing. They do some nice winks to the comic strip using traditional animation, where they animate thought bubbles, or when someone's writing, you see what they're writing pop up above their head. And those were really nice touches. I thought that was a great way. And it's all in black and white. It looks like Schultz style drawings. And so I thought that was a great tribute and a really cool way to work in the comic strip, which I think is the best part about Peanuts, for a lot of the reasons you just mentioned. That's when you have to sit and watch Charlie Brown for a long time, you end up feeling really depressed. Snoopy's always been my favorite character. I thought he was the best part of the movie, but I thought it was just too long overall. So, although I like seeing a little shout out to Joe Cool and the Red Baron, I was a little torn there. But I really liked that the whole thing felt like a Peanuts movie, and I think there are so many cute, clever little scenes at the beginning that I think fans of Charlie Brown will really like this. I think that's about it for me, though, buddy.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and rate it then. I love Peanuts. And I grew up with Peanuts as a kid, and I've enjoyed most of the movies, and I've always liked the characters, and they do a very good job of representing that in this movie. And I think they might stuff a little too much vignette style stuff in it, but I really feel like they captured Peanuts exactly the way it should have been done. And I believe that if you're a fan, definitely go see it. If not, it's a rent it.
I'm going to say rent it. I thought it was better than it was going to be, but at 93 minutes, it's about a half an hour too long. And, there's just a little, I think there's just a little too much Charlie Brown failing, which, I have an issue with, and I think people who are real fans of those specials maybe don't, like you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
But, and, although there's a subtle victory at the end, I didn't think it was worth the extra 25 minutes.
Yep.
So if you're a Peanuts fan, I think you're going to like this movie.
Yeah, which is why I liked it so much. I'm a hardcore Peanuts fan. I've always loved it. And that's just kind of where this movie's at. It's a movie done for the kids and the adults that grew up with Peanuts and enjoy it. And I don't think they tried to do anything else. I think they just tried to make a movie for them, and that's it. And it shows. Which,
I like that. I do like that aspect of it. That's, I think, why I like Goosebumps so much.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I would have had a very different opinion of this had it not been 93 minutes.
Okay.
So that's where I stand, buddy.
All right. So if anybody else wants to tell us that our opinions are terrible,
hate mail.
You can always email us at halfpastcast@gmail.com. That's halfpastcast@gmail.com.
Like us on Facebook.
And rate us on iTunes.
We're on Stitcher and Libsyn.
And you can always visit us at our home on the web, which is halfpastpodcast.com.
Tweet us at halfpastpodcast.
And thank you for listening, and thank you for your support. Later this week, we have the Spectre movie. James Bond. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, Bond. I found a different way for us to bond. James Bond.
So we'll watch that one. We'll review that one a little bit later this week. Anything else for you, Jones?
So much fun, it should be illegal. All right. This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks. Just pretend I said something clever.
Nice.
That's my sign up.
Oh, fantastic. This is the Half Past Podcast. I'm Graham Ricks.
Jonesy.
See you next flick.